Welcome to Zenith Media. This is the Ni Hao incident. This is a fascinating story that involves espionage, a plane crash, and a daring escape. In this video, we will take a deep dive into the events that led to this incident, the incident itself, and its aftermath. So, let's get started. The Ni Hao incident took place on December 7, 1941, which is famously known as the day of the Pearl Harbor attack. On that day, Japanese planes bombed the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The attack resulted in the deaths of over 2,400 people and led to the United States entering World War II. However, there is another story that took place on that day that is not as well known. A Japanese fighter pilot named Shigenori Nishikaichi crash-landed on the Hawaiian island of Ni Hao, which is located about 120 miles west of Kauai. Nishikaichi was part of the second wave of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, and his plane was damaged in the attack, which caused him to divert from his mission and fly towards the island of Ni Hao. Nishikaichi was not alone when he crash-landed on Ni Hao. He was accompanied by his fellow pilot, Petty Officer First Class Takeshi Hirano. The two pilots had a mission to gather intelligence about the Pearl Harbor attack and then return to their aircraft carrier. After crash landing on Ni Hao, Shigenori Nishikaichi and Takeshi Hirano were initially greeted by a native Hawaiian couple, the Robinsons, who provided them with food and water. However, when the Robinsons learned of the attack on Pearl Harbor and the fact that Nishikaichi was a Japanese pilot, they became suspicious and took away his pistol. Nishikaichi and Hirano then tried to retrieve the pistol and take control of the situation, but they were overpowered by the Robinsons and taken to the island's only store, where they were held under guard. The store on Ni Hao was owned by a Hawaiian couple named Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair. The store served as a central gathering place for the island's residents and was a vital source of supplies, including food, clothing, and other necessities. The island's residents were not initially aware of the attack on Pearl Harbor or the crash landing of the Japanese pilots. However, when word of the attack finally reached the island by radio, the island's residents became aware of the situation and the potential danger posed by the Japanese pilots. The island's Hawaiian residents, many of whom had family members serving in the U.S. military, were particularly alarmed and concerned about the possibility of the pilots causing harm to the island or aiding in a larger invasion. Nishikaichi managed to convince one of the Hawaiians, Kiloha, to assist him in his escape by promising to spare her life and that of her family when the Japanese won the war. Kiloha smuggled a pistol to Nishikaichi, who then used it to overpower his guards and escape. Harada, who was being held separately in another home, then joined Nishikaichi and Kiloha in their attempt to evade capture. Nishikaichi was eventually found by a group of residents led by a Hawaiian man named Ben Kanahele. Kanahele was a former U.S. Army soldier and was well versed in combat, having served in World War I. When Kanahele and his group found Nishikaichi hiding in a nearby valley, they demanded that he surrender his remaining weapons, but Nishikaichi refused and attacked Kanahele with a knife. In the ensuing struggle, Kanahele managed to wrestle the knife away from Nishikaichi and killed him with it. Hirano, on the other hand, had managed to evade the island's residents and hide in the island's interior. He was eventually discovered by a group of residents led by a Hawaiian man named Yoshio Harada. Harada, who had initially been sympathetic to the pilots, attempted to negotiate with Hirano and convince him to surrender. However, Hirano refused and instead committed suicide by detonating a hand grenade. The Ni Hao incident had significant consequences for the United States during World War II. The documents that Hirano had gathered provided valuable intelligence about the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. The documents helped the U.S. military to understand the tactics used by the Japanese during the attack and to develop countermeasures to prevent similar attacks in the future. The Ni Hao incident also had significant consequences for the native Hawaiian population. The incident led to increased government surveillance of the native population and increased discrimination against them. Kealoha, the Hawaiian woman who had provided Nishikaichi with a pistol to help him escape, was arrested on suspicion of aiding and abetting the enemy. However, she was eventually released without charge due to lack of evidence. Ben Kanahil, one of the Hawaiians who had initially guarded Nishikaichi, was also briefly arrested but was later released. Overall, the native islanders who had been involved in the Niihau incident were not prosecuted or punished for their actions, as the U.S. government ultimately determined that they had acted out of a sense of loyalty to their community and were not actively aiding the Japanese. However, the incident did lead to increased suspicion and mistrust of Japanese Americans, particularly those living in Hawaii, during the early years of World War II. The incident led to increased government control over the native Hawaiian population, which lasted for several decades. The Niihau incident is a fascinating story that highlights the complexities of war and espionage. It is a story that is not often told, but it is an important part of U.S. history. The Niihau incident serves as a reminder of the sacrifices made by those who fought in World War II and the challenges faced by those who lived through that era. In conclusion, the Niihau incident is a fascinating story that sheds light on an often overlooked aspect of World War II. The incident highlights the bravery of the island's residents, who risked their lives to protect their community and country. It also emphasizes the crucial role played by intelligence gathering in wartime, and how even seemingly small pieces of information can make a significant difference in the outcome of a conflict. The Niihau incident also has historical and cultural significance. It highlights the complex relationship between the U.S. government and the native Hawaiian population during World War II, and the impact that the war had on their lives. It also serves as a reminder of the discrimination and surveillance that many minority groups faced during that era, and the ongoing efforts to address these issues today. Overall, the Niihau incident is a story that deserves to be remembered and commemorated. It is a testament to the bravery and sacrifice of those who fought and lived through World War II, and a reminder of the need to learn from the past to build a better future. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new today. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you want more videos like this in the future.